Was a girl running in a group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
I've got stuff from everywhere. I mean everywhere. Just stuff, so much stuff going on in the car world. You wouldn't believe it. They're locked down. They've been shut down for how many months, and things are popping big. I got a feel-good story for you first, though. This is cute. When Wall Street analysts call the Ford Motor Company's investment relations department these days, they're likely to be greeted by Henry Ford himself. He's dead. No, this is the Henry Ford III. He's not the founder, of course, and he's not a recording of him either. It's Henry Ford III, the patriarch's great-great-grandson, who at age 39 has been thrust into the crucial role of liaison between the struggling automaker and the investors. Oh, yeah, it is yeah, baby. The third, as he's called around the office, the third's ascent going up, along with that of his cousin, 32-year-old Alexandra Ford English, just named to the board of electric truck maker Rivian Automotive. Ford and Rivian are pretty tight. Marks a coming of age for the fifth generation of the Ford dynasty. That's cool. For all but 20 years of the 117 years of Ford's existence, Ford has been led by a family member. So here he comes, your new Henry Ford the third, we call him. Around the office, they just call him the third. How'd you like to be known as the third? I don't think so. I kind of like George myself.
Yeah, I wouldn't be called Junior.
Junior or the third? No, I can't do any of that. 1, 2, or 3. I'd like to just be George if I could. Now, we got to step back a minute, but thing we've been reporting on. The ex-UAW president, Gary Jones, was arraigned Thursday in U.S. District Court via video conference, and it's weeks ahead of a hearing in which he's expected to plead guilty to embezzling union funds. This is the guy we've been talking about, one of them. The former president who resigned his post late last year as an ongoing federal corruption investigation closed in on him, oh yeah, appeared on video wearing a dark suit and navy blue tie. Isn't that wonderful? Who cares? His attorney, Bruce Maffeo, entered a not guilty plea on 2 counts of conspiracy to embezzle funds and conspiracy to defraud the U.S. Each of the charges could send Jones to prison for up to 5 years, so that's a possibility of 10 years in the can, man. Jones was released on a $10,000 unsecured bond that came with certain conditions, including that he report to pretrial services. His travel is restricted to within the continental U.S., and he's required to surrender his concealed pistol license and passport. No. A felon can't have a gun? Sure. Send him to Illinois. We'll let him out of the prison. The ongoing corruption probe has so far resulted in charges against 14 people and has canned 13 guilty pleas. So some have gone to the can, some have paid the price, some have done house arrest, but 13 of them have pled guilty and said, that's it, we did it. We've been watching this UAW scandal for a long time, you and I, and it's not heartwarming at all. I don't care for it. I think it's terrible, and I really wanted our union to be strong. Now, especially with the economy that was jumping. They were getting new members left and right, and they were supposed to put training to them and use that money for all their training and all the benefits for their union workers. And these guys are hawking it. They're taking it. They bought yachts. They bought cabins. Oh, Jesus. I hope they do. I hope this Gary Jones does go to jail for 20 years. It'll be all right with me. Okay, things are looking up. After weeks of false hopes and false starts, the global auto supply chain inched back into the production readiness last week. Promising plant restarts in China, followed by Michigan's decision to let manufacturing resume in that state, both gave suppliers encouragement to make the concrete plans toward making auto parts again. This is going to be the key. I told you this. They can reopen all the plants they want. They got to have parts. Those parts are not made in the plant. Those parts are assembled. That's called an assembly plant. In other words, a whole load of buses, semis and trains, and everything. They drop off lots of parts, frames and wiring looms and, my God, steering wheels and seats and blah, blah, blah. and they're important. These suppliers are important. Ford is going to resume their engine output in the United Kingdom and Spain. They build engines over there. Ford will restart output at its 2 British engine factories on Monday, which means that all of the automakers' European manufacturing sites will be in operation next week after the shutdowns due to the virus, of course. Ford built nearly 1.1 million engines last year in the 2 British sites, Dagenham in East London and Bridgend in South Wales. The engines are shipped to vehicle factories in countries such as Turkey and Germany. Ford's Valencia engine plant in Spain will also resume output next week. The automaker said anyone entering a Ford facility will need to wear a company-provided face mask and have their body temperature checked. Work areas have been redesigned to make sure social distancing rules can be adhered to. It's going to be a different ball game. You know it. I know it. It's all got to change, and it will. It's going to change. It's not maybe. It's going to change. This is an interesting story here. Like I said, we're all over the car world. We're traipsing up and down. We go from Detroit to Stuttgart, Germany, and out to California, Spain. We were in Spain a minute ago, yeah, and British or United Kingdom, which I would never go visit. I don't like that place. Don't get me started. We're going to go to California, but it's actually in Michigan. Tesla, that's based in California, has opened its first brick and mortar service center, and it's in Michigan, and is preparing an adjacent Tesla gallery, in other words, a showroom. Months after a legal victory gave the automaker a foothold in the state where its operations were previously barred. The NADA is National Automotive Dealer Association is definitely against Tesla and Elon Musk selling his cars online, exclusively. Well, now he's built a service center. The building is located 41 miles northwest of Detroit in a town called Clarkston, Michigan. It features prominent Tesla signage, coming soon, it says, decals, and a parking lot filled with more than a dozen luxury electronic vehicles, Tesla's $100,000 babies. The service center has been open since early March, offering software diagnostics and resolutions, hardware adjustments, and parts replacements, according to a Tesla spokesman. Customers can schedule service appointments online on their Tesla app or in person. A sign on a window this month informed visitors of a new touch-free experience in light of the coronavirus pandemic. It allows customers to scan a QR code to check in for an appointment. A table near the front of the service center has a sheet and further safety instructions and a bottle of hand sanitizer. So they're actually doing a protocol. It's nice to see Elon is going to get into the actual car business and not be a pirate, not be a renegade, a knucklehead, I call him. I'm not happy with the guy, never have been. But that's beside the point. He was just the Dealers Association. They had mechanics, they had salesmen, they had porters, they have office staff. They had actual people working in the car business where Tesla just sold you a car over the internet. They delivered it to your house. If you had a problem with it, they had a guy come out and get it. Where he took it, nobody knows. But I don't think Teslas are everyday drivers. I think those are cars that people buy for a novelty at this point. I don't think I'd want to drive a $100,000 car every day, put 1 million miles on my $100,000 car. If I had a $30,000 car, I would put miles on it. The $100,000 one I'd keep in the garage for church on Sunday or something. Well, not church. Can't do that. I've got a story here I want to do, and then I have a list. You know me and my list. I love lists. The least thirsty gas hogs. When I went to the auto show, 2019, I was surrounded by trucks. Everything was trucks. I mean, and these are trucks that people drive every day, and they're huge. You see how big the trucks on the road are today? And these are just the trucks they drive to and from work. The Expeditions and the Tahoes and the Suburbans. Oh my God! And the Expedition is the one that's huge. Ford's Expedition is huge. Explorer is big too. I'm surprised you don't drive one of these, Eric.
No, I'm not a truck guy. Never been.
Man,
never liked it.
I drive an Edge, and that's a baby compared to some of these on the road. I get engulfed. Some of these are like semis. But,
The other day, I almost got hit by an excursion. Remember the excursions?
oh, yeah.
Yeah. They were
Oh,
still out and
man.
about. I almost got hit with
Oh,
one of
my.
them.
She'd have gone right over that car of yours. You'd have been squished.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
Ugly. First, we want to talk about Uber. You know Uber? You heard about Uber? Well, they've got the mask rules at Uber. Let me just tell you. I'm wondering myself how they can do this, how you can have social distancing in a car. Well, the new rules for Uber. The rules will require drivers, passengers, and food delivery couriers, because they have that Uber Eats thing, to wear face masks as cities begin to reopen across the U.S. After the COVID-19 pandemic began spreading rapidly more than 2 months ago in the U.S., Uber urged drivers to stay home and shuttered its carpool service completely. Drivers were often conflicted about continuing to pick up the few remaining passengers or putting their health at risk. And it's putting your health at risk, for sure. Uber will also ask drivers to submit a selfie showing them with a mask. I can't take a selfie. I never did. Drivers who refuse, I'm not driving Uber though either. Drivers who refuse the verification in the U.S., Canada, and India, and most of Europe and Latin America will not be able to go online beginning May 18th. So you have to be logged in with Uber and have a picture of you and your mask. Under the new rules, riders will also need to confirm they've taken precautions, including wearing a mask, washing their hands, and must agree to sit in the back seat and open windows for ventilation. Uber is also reducing the maximum suggested number of passengers. How do you do Uber? How do you do social distancing in a car? It's not big enough.
A trunk?
Yeah, you have to ride on the hood. You know, they need who's got their personal car that has a shield in it or anything? You don't have a shield, yeah.
And the taxi drivers, right?
Ubers are the people using their personal cars. They don't have shields or anything like that.
I mean, unless if you actually make one, build, a
Well,
DIY.
I suppose you could, but oh my God.
The thing that gets me though is the selfie. Like you gotta take a selfie to know that you're in the car with your mask on. That's the hilarious. Well, not hilarious, but
How do they know I didn't have my wife take it? I didn't do it myself.
exactly, exactly.
If it's too far away, they'll know my arm's not that long.
Right, and then the ventilation. I get the window coming down and everything. If you're gonna be in the back
I
seat.
don't get that though. You're still way too close. You're 3 feet away from the driver.
I think the mask part of it all, and I think it's suffice
You
for
think?
for the person.
I hope-
At least in Uber's standards,
Yes,
it's
let me put
enough.
it this way. I hope so.
Right. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't have anything to do with gloves.
No, they should have had gloves
They should have
in
had
there,
gloves. I heard hand sanitizer, washing your hands with
I
that.
know they don't accept money because they're already paid. They're prepaid rides, but they do get tips. I'm sure.
Yeah, if they put it on the app, I think it all goes in the app. I don't think cash is handled that way either. I think
Okay, well then
everything's
then nobody's
going through
passing bad dough.
No, no.
Disease dough.
For that reason alone.
No, that's not a bad idea. I guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's
I don't know. I don't think it's far enough apart. I really don't. I don't think it's good enough.
again for Uber standards. I think just the mask itself is good enough. You're opposite side. I'm assuming you're not going to be behind the person. Obviously, if you're getting the drivers on the
It
left
says
side,
they're going to limit the number of passengers you can have in the car. So some people are like 3 or 4 people in the car.
depending on your car, actually. If you drive a minivan, obviously you're going to have more than 5 people. It depends on your style, model of a car.
You're going to load it up. Huh?
Obviously, if you drive my car like what I have, a Chevy Cruise,
One person's enough.
enough.
Yeah, they're going to have trouble getting in and out of the back as it is.
True, this is true.
I couldn't even get in and out of the back of that thing. But that's because I'm a little bigger than the door. That's the problem. Listen, I got a list here. One of my famous lists of the least thirsty gas hogs. When I saw all those trucks at the car show in 2019, I said, "Man, everybody! They're featuring all these big Fords, big Infinities, Lincolns, Mercedes Mercedes had trucks. Nissan had trucks for sure. Toyota, Cadillac, everybody. The Cadillac Escalade is probably one of the biggest, but I think that the Ford Expedition is the big one. Well, if you're going to buy one, okay, and you really want one of those big old beasts, let me tell you what kind of gas mileage and range you're going to have. This is my list of the range and the gas mileage of the huge hogs, the gas hogs. 2020 Ford Expedition, 19 combined miles per gallon and up to 475 miles per tank. And they're claiming that's on rear or all-wheel drive. So it doesn't have to be four-wheel drive, but it can be. And you get the same kind of mileage and everything either way. How can they say that? I don't know. 2020 Infiniti, although they have the new four-wheel drives, the all-wheel drives, they don't kick in till you. Tell me, I think they can get the same mileage. I really do now that I think about it. 2020 Infiniti QX80, 416 miles per tank. Now, if it's a rear-wheel drive, you get 16 miles to the gallon. Oh, that stinks. And if it's an all-wheel drive, you get 15 miles to the gallon. That's a double stink. Yeah, man. 2020 Land Rover Range Rover. That's a pretty good sized vehicle. Four-wheel. And it's diesel. The diesel gets 24 miles per gallon. Four-wheel drive. They're all four-wheel drive, the Land Rovers. The gas model gets 19 miles per gallon, just like the big old Expedition. And you have 545 miles in between tanks for both. Must be a bigger tank in the diesel. And those are all four-wheel drives, the Land Rover Range Rovers. The 2020 Lexus LX570, four-wheel drive only, 14 miles per gallon. Well, I'm going to run out and buy one of those. 344 miles per tank full. You can't go anywhere. I mean, that's one trip to Cal City and back. If I go to Blue Top 4 times a week, that's more than 344 miles for me.